So remember, the where command will search for files in certain locations. It's not going to launch the file into memory, it's just going to show you the absolute path to that file. So if I said where notepad, okay, no extension, just the file name, then it is going to basically, remember, it looks in my current location, it looks in every directory in the search path, so that's every single one of these directories, and it looks for a file called Notepad with any one of these extensions. Okay, if it finds a file by that name with any one of these extensions in my current directory or in any one of these directories, then it displays for me the absolute path to the files that it found. Okay, that's kind of where we left off on Tuesday. Okay, so the where command with just a file name will automatically search for executables by that name. As soon as you add wildcards to the picture, then executables are off the table. Okay, so for example, if I said where asterisk.log, okay, moving from the back to the front, that's a good step. Okay, so where asterisk.log, as soon as I add the asterisk here, it says it's no longer going to look for something that has an executable extension, or it's simply going to look for any file that meets this pattern. Okay, any file name with an extension of log. Okay, where is it going to look? Same places. Okay, it's going to look in my current directory for anything that has an log extension, which is at the root of the drive, and then it's going to look in every single one of the directories in the search path. Okay, so I can see here that I actually have a file at the root of the drive called hello.log. Okay, and evidently I also have a file at the root of drive C. The root of drive C is in the search path, which is odd, but evidently it is. And then all of the other directories that it searched, these are the results. Okay, so again, where without any fixed parameters, okay, this is a variable parameter, right? Way back to week 2, okay, the difference between fixed and variable parameters, this value can vary, whereas the fixed parameters is always going to be preceded by that /. So without any fixed parameters, remember there are, so again, these are all the possible fixed parameters that I can use on the where command. Okay, and then this is the pattern. The pattern is what we've been typing. Okay, so again, without any fixed parameters, always remember where it's going to search. It's going to search in your current location. It's going to search in the search path. What it searches for depends on what you typed as a pattern. Okay, if I type where label, then there's no wildcards in this pattern, so it's always going to look for a file called label that has any one of the extensions that are categorized as executable on this computer. Okay, in this case there's one, it's called label.exe, and it's in the system32 directory. Okay, as soon as I start adding fixed parameters, okay, fixed parameters are going to allow me to change the way the search works. So for example, if I said, but if we first look at the /r parameter, okay, so first notice that the /r parameter along with dir, okay, are within brackets. So we know that that's optional. As soon as it's between brackets, we know that that the parameter itself is optional. But notice that within the brackets, there are no additional brackets. So that means that if I use the /r parameter, I have to provide a directory as that second value. Okay, the fact that dir is not in brackets, separate brackets than the full brackets, means that if I use that /r, I also have to provide the dir. So what the /r does is it says recursively searches, because remember when I used the where command up here, where label, it searched my current directory, it didn't include subdirectories. Okay, recursive means include subdirectories. Okay, frequently you'll see parameters that are called recursive parameters. That means that in not just your current location, but it's going to include subdirectories in the search. So /r says recursively searches and displays the files that match the given pattern starting from the specified directory. Okay, the specified directory is what you're providing here. Okay, so when I use the /R, I have to say I want to start searching in a particular location, and I want to include all subdirectories in the search. That's what /R does. Okay, the directory is where you want to start the search. So, for example, if I wanted to search in the games directory, I could say where /R g:\games. So that's the first, okay, so when I execute this command, then the /R and the dir, when I type where /R g:\games, the g:\games is the directory in the directory parameter here. It's saying, where do I want to start looking? Okay, space. So there is a space between the directory that you want to start looking in and what you want to look for. Okay, if I wanted to look for bog, okay, now again, with no wildcard. So that pattern piece of the where command isn't going to change. Okay, in regards to the fact that if I don't include wildcards, then it's going to look for an executable file by that name. Okay, I don't care whether I use fixed parameters or not. If that pattern portion of my command does not include wildcards, then it will search for a file by that name that has an executable extension. So in this case here, because I've specified /R and g:\games, that means that basically it says search starting in the games directory and all subdirectories beneath that. That's it. Don't include the search path. Don't include my current location. Okay? Just include the starting directory games and all of its subdirectories in the search. Look for what? Look for a file called bog that has an executable extension, .exe, .com, .bat, .cmd, and all those extensions that are categorized as executables. Okay? So notice there's one, it's in the bog2 directory. Okay, if I did where games and I did match32, okay, again, it searches, it finds one file in the path called match32.exe, and it displays that, that absolute path. Okay? So, if I am, let's say I move to the Windows directory, and I want to search from the Windows directory down for all files that have an LOG extension, just for example's sake, right? Or, yeah, I'll use that one. Okay, so where /R, again, that dir, the directory parameter, has to be used. If I want to start searching in my current location, I could certainly type c:\Windows, but what else can I use to represent my current location? Anybody? / is going to refer back to the root. .. is going to refer to my parent directory. One dot. Single dot. Okay, remember single dot is current location. For the most part, you don't, like I wouldn't type dir dot. Like, what's the point, right? Dir dot says, give me a directory listing of my current location, but I don't need the dot, and it's going to do that anyway. Okay, but when you're typing a command that requires that you put a path in the command, and the directory you want to reference is the one you're in, then period is, this is a very appropriate place to use that current location as a period. So I can say where /R period. That says start looking in my current location. Okay, look for what? All files that have an LOG extension. Okay, so notice now it's basically searching way more than I thought it would. Every directory from my current location down for any files that have an LOG extension. Okay? Difference between this output, so how else, I could have done this with the dir command, right? Can I search for all files that have an LOG extension with the dir command? Right? If I said dir **log/s, isn't that accomplishing the same thing? Yes? Hello, guys? Right? So it's just the output is different, right? The output is very different looking. So again, sometimes you use a particular command because of the way the output is going to be presented. Okay, maybe it's more readable. Maybe I want to take that output and put it in a text file so that I can then use it for something else. So the where command's output is more, in my opinion anyway, is a lot more readable. I can see the absolute path right along with each file name. I'm not having to search through directory listings to find that. Okay? Questions on the where slash r? Just one thing I think that I may or may not have done on Tuesday. If I do where WinWord, now whether you realize it or not, WinWord is the actual executable file that gets launched when you run Microsoft Word. Okay, so the actual executable that is launched when you run Microsoft Word is called WinWord, probably .exe. Okay, I can't remember if it's a .exe or .com, but it's definitely an executable. If I do that and I press the Enter key, it comes back and it says it can't find the file. So what do you think this means? It's not hidden. Where does it look? Where does the where, when I look at this command right here, where did it search for an executable by that name? Current directory, not subdirectories of that, not RAM, nope, not RAM, search path. Who said search path? Okay, search path, right? Remember guys, where command. I'm not talking about the search order, because the search order would look in memory. Yeah, it's going to search memory for the where command, okay, because where is the command. So the search order that we talked about on Tuesday, it's going to search memory for the where command. The where command is not internal, so then it's going to need to use the search path to find that executable and launch it. But the parameters on the where command, where does it look for those things? And that's what we're looking at here. If I don't specify the /r, okay, it's going to look in my current directory. It's going to look in every directory in the search path for something called WinWord with an executable extension. Now, we all know that I have Microsoft Word installed on this computer, but yet it can't find it. So what conclusion can you come to then if it can't find it? It's not in any of the directories it's searching in, right? It's not in the current directory, and it's not in any directory in the search path. And that would be also confirmed by typing WinWord. If it can't find it when you try launching it from the command prompt, then the where command is not going to find it. Okay, so if I really needed to know, gee, where does this file actually live? Okay, then I probably would say, okay, it's likely in either the program files folder somewhere deep down in the bowels of the program files or the program files 86 folder, right? Okay? It depends. It depends on whether it's a 64-bit version of of Microsoft Word or a 32-bit version of Microsoft Word. Okay? If it's a 64-bit version of Microsoft Word, it's going to be in the program files folder. If it's a 32-bit version of Microsoft Word, it's going to be in the programs x86 folder. So what I could do is I could use where /r c:\\, and I'll start with the program files. I really don't know which of the two directories it's in, okay, and then type WinWord. Okay, so now this says, I know it's somewhere here in this folder structure, I'm just not sure where. I would like to know the absolute path to where this file is physically stored. So when I do that, except that I have a backslash at the beginning of that command, so when I do that now, you can see that it evidently is in that directory. So it comes back and it shows me program files, Microsoft Office, Office 16, WinWord.exe. Okay, so if I needed to know the absolute path to a file that I knew existed somewhere on my computer, I would have to start by knowing kind of where it might be. I don't want to search my entire hard drive, guys. That would take a really long time. Okay, so, you know, I would not want to have to search because if I search my entire hard drive, it's going to search every one of these directories. Depending on how many people have logged into this computer, the users folder alone is going to be very, very big. Okay, so ideally you have an idea, well, what is it? It's a program, then it's probably going to be under program files somewhere. Okay, if it's a command that I execute from the, that I can execute from the command line, but for whatever reason it's not finding it, then it's probably going to be out under the Windows directory somewhere. So having an idea of where to begin the search obviously is going to help the search be more efficient. Okay? Questions on where so far?